Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for the July Taroscope for Capricorn. Hello, Capricorn. This is your Taroscope for the month of July, and I have shuffled the cards. I'm using the Hermetic Tarot for you this month, and for your Oracle cards, I am using Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray and illustrations by Lily Moses. So I hope this reading finds you well and happy. Let's get into it. This is week 1, 2, 3, and 4, and over here is the Oracle card. So in the first week, we start out with the Lord of Strife, 5 of Wands. And in this card, we have a bunch of symbolism. We have, notice the 2 lions. One lion head is looking very fierce, and the other lion's head is looking demented. That is kind of the theme of this whole reading for you, Capricorn. So you're going to see throughout this reading, because I've already reviewed the cards, that there's really great stuff and then really hard stuff, and then really great stuff and then really hard stuff, and then really great stuff and really hard stuff. And there's a lot of Saturn influence in all of this. And as you will know, because you're a Capricorn and your ruling planet is Saturn, I think it's very appropriate to point this out. I'm trying to see if I can pick out the Saturn. Well, they say crocodiles are a symbol of Saturn. That's here. I can see the actual Saturn glyph in here. And Leo is Leo. And we've got the symbol for Leo. Well, it's actually the symbol for the nodes. They drew it wrong, but that's okay. So Leo and Capricorn energy does not mix elegantly. It's a little off. It just doesn't flow. So the message of this card, it's called the Lord of Strife, is that these energies don't get together really, really well. So the opening of July, Capricorn, is going to be difficult. And then we have the 3 of Swords, the Lord of Sorrow. And in this card, you've got the 3 swords, and the middle one is cutting the rose to pieces. Now in the Rider-Waite deck, this is a card about grief. It's not a card about grief here. It is a card about sorrow, but not necessarily grief. And so what we have here is we have some strife, we have some difficulty for you at the beginning of the week, and then we have some sorrow. And then we have the card for the universe, which also has a Saturn symbol in it. It has sickles, it has a knight symbolism, and the face at the bottom of the card is supposed to represent Aquarius. Now, at the time that all of this symbolism was taking place, it's very likely that Aquarius was still ruled by Saturn. But the bottom line is that this card, with the double-headed eagle up at the top, represents the universe where all things have come to be. It is perfection, it is completion, but it is reward most of all. And at the bottom it says the great one of the night of time. That's Saturn, time. So this card is saying that all's well that ends well. It's all going to be fine for this first week, even though you have strife and sorrow. So while there may be a lot of Saturn things going on, which is restriction, isolation, there's also crystallization, laser focus, but also Saturn can bring delays to things. So this week may feel like you're not really getting where you want to go. Now the second card, the one, the Lord of Sorrow, pulls in Libra, Saturn in Libra. Now Saturn works much better in Libra, but still you have the sorrow because that middle sword is cutting up the beauty. So Capricorn, you're used to Saturn energy. You're used to biding your time. You're used to having to be patient. You're used to having to dig deep and really cultivate your skills so that you can use them in a very constructive way, a very Saturn word. And in the end, you will be rewarded for having done that. Now let's look at week 2, which starts out with the Two of Wands, the Lord of Dominion. And in this, we actually have the goat symbols there, but they're supposed to be rams. So that's Aries and Mars, which is energy that you're probably a little more friendly with. It is the Lord of Dominion. It looks like kind of an angry card. However, this is energy that you're very comfortable with, Capricorn. You're used to having to sort of forcing yourself to just get the work done. And sometimes you may have to force other people to do things that they don't want to do either in order to get the job done. So I think that this energy is not pleasant particularly, but you're used to it. It's familiar. And then we have the King of Swords, which is the Prince of the Chariots of the Winds. He's the Prince of the Fairies. Look at the top figure. Top figure is a butterfly man with a pentacle on his forehead. And the king in the chariot is carrying a sword and a sickle. The sword is to take dominion over his people, and the sickle is to kill them. At the bottom of the chariot, those three figures are fairies, and they all have wings on their backs and also wings at their ankles. Very interesting. So this shows that you are getting on top of things, that you are able to control things a little bit this week, and that you feel more in control. And that's something that Capricorn really likes in that second week. And the final card for the second week is actually a really beautiful card. It's Lord of Peace Restored. Again, we have Capricorn symbolism in this card, heavy, heavy duty, but also Libra symbolism in this card. Beautiful moon and a dagger at the top of the card. This geometry and the symbolism of these cards is just beautiful and amazing. It's got the rose in the center. Now you'll see this rose in the center with rays radiating out from it and the crossed swords in a lot of the minor arcana sword cards. Very creative. So this is peace. You know, you have brought peace now, even though you had to work hard for it, because the beginning of that week, Lord of Dominion, that cannot have been easy and pleasant. But it resolves. It resolves by the use of fairy energy, actually. Interesting, Capricorn. How many times do people equate you with fairies? I know I have Capricorn rising, and people just are amazed at me when I talk about fairies. Okay, then the third week we open with the Princess of Wands, who has a lot of really interesting imagery here. She's wearing a tiger skin. She's got a tiger up in the top. She has a Star of David around her neck. She's holding a staff that has a rose, big rose at the top, and some kind of symbol that I can't quite read down at the bottom. And then she has a ram sitting next to her. She is supposed to be an Amazon, princess of the shining flame. She's very strong. She's very capable. She's very much the person that you want in your corner if you're having any sort of trouble at all. And remember, we're starting out the third week. So this is showing me that you have a friend. You have somebody in your corner who is very, very strong and willing to help you. And it's probably of a female nature or a yin nature. And then we have the Two of Pentacles, which is Jupiter and Capricorn on this card. And it's two big pentacle symbols with, they call it a Greek cross, an equal arm cross. And then a snake, which is biting its own tail. Now, I've always called that the Ouroboros. But if you look, the hand between the two coins is squeezing the serpent. So he doesn't quite form an Ouroboros. He is a serpent eating his own tail, but he's being squeezed into two circles. Two of Pentacles, Lord of Harmonious Change. So things are changing harmoniously, and you're at the base of it, Capricorn. So I know these cards are very esoteric, so if you can just follow the logic with me, you'll hear what you're supposed to hear. And then we have the Emperor. Now the Emperor is more of an Aries symbolism. You have a bee, we have an eagle, but we also have the planets. Check out all of this. I mean, there's an Aries symbol in there too. But check out all of the planetary symbols here. Look at the planets just shooting out. So this person, the Emperor, usually we say this is the father figure, this is the guiding figure, this is the person who makes the rules. But in this card, I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to look at the guidebook because I can't remember what it said, but it's really interesting because it talks about the symbology so much. It's a little bit hard to focus in on what is the meaning for a person who gets it. Okay, it's conquest, victory. It is war and strife, but worldly power and ambition. So Capricorn, that feeds into you. You are usually ambitious. And here's another little bit of trivia that you might find interesting. The bee that is under his left foot, the bee, that's the alchemical equivalent of the ram. Isn't that interesting? But those globes up at the top shooting out, those are planets. So this is a person who's the master of his universe. You know, he is controlling all of this stuff, and it is war and it is strident and strife, but it is victorious too. So Capricorn, all these things that you're used to doing your whole life, persevering, being very determined, climbing the ladder, being patient, being very focused, working within structures, being constructive, actually building things, building your own resume, building your own legacy. All of that stuff is building and being rewarded, building and being rewarded, building and being rewarded all month over and over and over again. Now, the fourth week we have the Four of Swords. So this is rest after strife. And this card represents abundance, actually. So unlike the Rider-Waite, where the Four of Swords is the person kind of almost in the tomb or shut away, this is saying this is a well-deserved rest, that you have abundance. You won, again, victory after the Emperor. You know, you are able to take a break and a breather. And these swords are holding up that rose of truth, with the rays and the other swords up at the little daggers up at the top. And then we have the Hermit. Now the Hermit, I do remember this, the Hermit is still very much like Rider-Waite, going within, doing your meditation, doing your diligence. But you'll notice in this card, it's a rabbi, and the egg is the universal egg, and the shaft of wheat is showing that you can put away wheat and you can bring it to life, meaning you can plant it and make new plants after it is dried. So it's the everlasting wheat. And then you have the serpent, which is knowledge. And above it is the lamp, which appears to burn with no fuel. So this card is very interesting. After you rest from your victory, then you go within. Then you look for spirit. You look for spiritual sustenance. And all of these things will give you sustenance, all the things that are in the card. The lamp will keep you warm and give you light. The egg and the wheat will feed you. The snake will give you knowledge. Oh, and I forgot, there's another plant behind him, which is bearing a seed or his fruit at the top of the plant. Very interesting there. And then for our final outcome, we have the Four of Cups. And unlike the Rider-Waite deck, this is a very positive card. This is the Lord of Blended Pleasure, meaning that, you know, yes, you've had some ups and downs. This has not been a completely positive reading here. There's been a lot of things happening. So if you've been having success, then you'll revel in that success, then it will be over and you will be on to more challenges. If you have had disappointment or loss, you'll have that for a little while, you'll recover from that, and then you'll go on to have pleasure and success. So it's just, this whole reading is talking about the ups and downs of life, how life, you know, the tide comes in, the tide goes out. You have some pleasure, then you have some pain. You have some success, then you have some loss. So there are cycles to life. It does not stay the same. This is very similar to what Virgo was experiencing. And really, honestly, Taurus too. All three of the earth signs, this idea that life is cyclical and it is ever changing. And in order to remain in balance in your life and to stay on your spiritual path, You have to use what you learn on your spiritual path to stay in balance. You're not going to always be in balance, but you always want to strive to come back to balance, to center. Even when you go swinging one way or the other, one way or the other, of course you're going to be very, very happy, and then you're going to come back to center. And then there might be a little sadness over here, and then you come back to center. Because life does not stay static. It just doesn't. All right, so now let's look at your oracle card, which is Freya from Keepers of the Light. Phases and cycles. Hello, there's a theme here. There is a beginning with every ending. That's your last card there. Illusions are revealed and released. And that's another piece of the spiritual puzzle, is that as you go through these cycles, there are certain things that you really do need to let go for good. And those are the things that are no longer true for you. They may have been true at one time. They may never have been true. The point is, if it no longer serves you to believe in them, then you need to let them go. Let's look at Freya and see what else she can tell us. Freya, which means lady, is the Norse goddess of the moon and love. She is the twin flame of Odin and a warrior goddess who offers deep spiritual and physical protection to those who call on her. She will stand before you and with her shield and spear, keeping you safe from harm. She works closely with moon energy and helps us recognize that our life is a cycle that is always changing. She herself is the maiden, the mother, and the crone aspect of all women, and guides them to see the wisdom these cycles bring. We all go through phases and cycles of growth, and Freya is the energy that supports this. She has a raven spirit totem, which is said to represent her capacity to travel between heaven and earth. A phase of your life may be coming to an end. Yes, you got the universe. But it's important to acknowledge it's not the end. When one door closes, another opens. You may have been desperate for change, but now that it's here, you could feel vulnerable. Know that the mighty goddess Freya will guide you. Illusions are now being revealed so that you can leave behind anything that is false, step into your peaceful warrior-like energy, and welcome the changes you deserve. Tie up all loose ends and take heart. This is an exciting time, and it certainly is, Capricorn. I'm really, really curious to know how this reading hit you. I love these cards. I love the imagery on these cards, but I have to admit it is still a little confusing for me, but I'm getting them. I'm getting it now. And I love these oracle cards too. If you're interested in getting a private reading with me, go to my website, thecoolcrone.com. There you will find all of my services. You can make an appointment, you can pay for it, and the whole thing gets taken care of. I do readings by Zoom, and so that way we can both see the cards and each other's faces, and it's just a real nice touch. So yeah, get in touch with me. I would love that. Please let me know how this reading hit, Capricorn. I'm very curious. And thank you for your patience with me for trying all these new decks. Let me know if there's a deck that really floats your boat, and then I'll use that deck for next month's reading. All right? Take care, Capricorn. I'm so glad that you're a subscriber. I really, really, truly am very, very grateful for all my subscribers. And have a great month of July, and I'll see you next time.